Hello there, my name is Jonathan and this is Jonathan's Days. I am a knitter from Ireland who now lives in London, and today's video is all about every single shawl that I've ever made. Now, if you're not a knitter, a shawl is essentially, it's a scarf for want of a better word, but it's usually a triangular shaped scarf or a half moon shaped scarf. Also known as a hap. The kind of old Irish ones were called haps, the ones that you tie in the back, which we'll look at a little bit later. But I have been knitting for, well over 10 years. I learned when I was a teenager, and when I first moved to London after university, I took back up knitting in a very big way, which was in the early 2010s, and I have been knitting shawls ever since. Now, in the last couple of years, I've really gotten back into knitting in a very big way, which is why I have this channel. So this look back at all my shawls that I've made is going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane, actually. So we're going to start from the very first shawl that I made, which probably would have been 2011, thereabouts, and come right up to my most recent shawl, which I finished a couple of days ago. And it's actually a pattern that I have made. So stick around. We have over a dozen of them, and we're going to run through them all, talk a bit about them. For the older ones, I'll talk a bit about how they've worn, how the yarn is held up, how much I enjoyed knitting them, all that fun stuff. So stick around, like and subscribe if you aren't already, and then drop me a comment and tell me what your favorite shawl pattern is, because I want to hear about it. Cool, so let's start at the very beginning. I actually have my Ravelry page. My Ravelry is where most of my projects are. I need to update it with my latest things, but I can actually tell you the very first shawl that we're going to talk about today is the Boneyard shawl, which is a pattern by Stephen West, which is a lot of people's first shawls. It's a very simple shawl, and I can tell you, I finished mine in May 2011. So this is well over 10 years old. And Stephen West is an amazing designer, very well-known knitting designer, and he's especially well-known for his shawl designs. So he will feature a lot throughout this episode. But I started with the Boneyard. Now, before I show you this, take a deep breath. This is an old shawl, very, very old shawl. And I will say, when I knit it in 2011, I definitely was into knitting for a couple of years, and then I put my needles down. I didn't really knit a super huge amount, but then when we got to 2020, I really got back into knitting again after I had a surgery where I had to not move for a couple of days after, so I thought I would finish knitting my first sweater. So bear in mind, this shawl was stuck in a cupboard somewhere. So what happens when you stick lovely, delicious yarn in a cupboard somewhere? The moths get to it. So yes, this has been attacked by the moths, so I'm keeping it separate from all the other knits, but it still exists, it's still here. Let me pull off these little things. So this is my Boneyard shawl. I'm gonna have video pop up so you can see it in a different light. This is my Boneyard shawl. You can see the big hole here, and I haven't gotten rid of it because I have nostalgia about it. So there's two big holes in it where the moths have gotten to it. But sometimes I kind of think, oh, maybe I will unravel this and re-knit it with the rest of the yarn, give the yarn a good wash. But I did wear this a ton when I first made it. This usually kind of described as a shawlette. It's pretty small. I don't really wear it. I don't wear it anymore. But when I did wear it, I wore it kind of like a bandana, so with the pointing down. It is knit, you cast on right here at the middle, and then you increase out from the center, and it grows. And then there's these kind of, you can't really see with this yarn, but there are pearl bumps that go along. Oh, there you go, you can kind of see them, which give it kind of spines, which I believe is why it's called Boneyard. If you want to knit a shawl for the first time, this is one I would recommend. It's super, super nice. You can kind of knit until you want to stop. It doesn't have a recommended, you can kind of do a smaller version or a larger version. It's quite flexible like that, and it's very, very simple. Part of me would love to knit this again now that I'm a way more prolific knitter. I was really, really new to knitting, and back then, Stephen West wasn't he was popular, but he wasn't the huge megastar that he was now. So I actually was knitting on this with him in Loop in London at that time, and he complimented how even my stitches were, which I appreciated, but a long time ago. All that to say that this is a wonderful beginner shawl. I wore it a ton. My mom really liked it, so maybe I'll re-knit it and gift it to her, but I've already gifted her one shawl. But Great shawl, simple. It's just stockinette with some purl interest and increasing in one spot, and it just grows from this center point out. That is something you'll realize with a lot of shawls. They start quite small and then they get really big. You know, you always talk about the last dozen or so rows of shawl knitting where it takes 30 to 40 minutes just to complete one row across, and then the bind off where you bind off at the end can take you a couple of evenings to complete, and I've had that with a lot of the shawls that you're about to see. But this is a wonderful beginner shawl. I don't wear it anymore. It's not really my style anymore. I don't like this style of yarn. This yarn, I can actually tell you, is Malabrigo sock. I'm going to refer to my notes. Yeah, Malabrigo yarn sock in the color Eggplant. I don't even know if they make this anymore. Maybe they do. Malabrigo still exists. Does it even exist? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, that's the yarn. I don't really wear it, but it has a good memory for me, and it's really shown me how far I've come as a knitter when I look back at this. So that is the Boneyard shawl by Stephen West. It's the first shawl that's over, what are we now, 13 years old. This one. So a couple of holes ain't too bad for a 13-year-old shawl. So let's move on to my second one. I'm gonna delve through here and pull this one out. So I finished that Boneyard shawl and I loved it. And at the time, I remember on the internet, the pattern that was really like sweeping the knitting world was this pattern, which is another Stephen West pattern. And this is the Daybreak shawl by Stephen West. Now, the story about this one is, I'm actually gonna look up my notes and see, here it is. Okay, so I cast this shawl on July 28th, 2011, and I finished it January 13th, 2021. So this shawl took me 10 years to finish. So it is knit in the same yarn as the previous shawl. So it's Malabrigo yarn sock in the color 806 Impressionist Sky and 812 chocolate Amargo is what this is. So it's a chocolate brown and a bright blue. This pattern was so popular. I think people really enjoyed it. It's like graphic. It's really, really cool. I mean, I still really like how it looks. Is it my style? Absolutely not. I don't wear this. In fact, when I finished it more as I don't know, just wanted to be proud of myself that I'd actually finished it rather than wanting the finished object. Now, it was sitting with live stitches for a very, very long time, so I'm not sure if I can still see them. But this shape is more of so the previous one was definitely more of a triangular shawl. This is more of like a half moon shape, I would say. So you can see it kind of curls up like this. And you can see my bind off was like quite frilly. I think I just wanted it to be bound off, so it's probably not the best bind off. I would have done maybe an I-cord bind off now that I'm more experienced. And I also remember it being this is knit on 3.5mm needles, and I remember it being so like intimidating. I felt like it took so long. It was so slow moving. I found the increases really difficult. And it's interesting to go from 2011 Jonathan, 2021 Jonathan, where I literally polished this off in like 2 days. I was probably about here, like through the stripe section, and I literally just like bam, in like 2 days finished it off so quickly. Because I've just become more and more of a proficient knitter. So this does show, again, how much I've changed as a knitter. It's one of those things like the Boneyard, I was like, oh, should I go back and try and remake it again? But again, the style isn't one I would wear necessarily. And this yarn is so thin. It's like, I don't know. I don't like how it feels. It's like a superwash yarn, I believe, which is not my favorite style of yarn now. I like non-superwash yarns, and then the kind of frill of the edge isn't my favorite, and then just generally the way it feels, this kind of thin fabric is not my favorite fabric to wear. So happy I finished it. It exists. I own it. I can feel things like I'm very tight along here from this section where you turn. It's so interesting to kind of look at how I've changed as a knitter, of how I've improved since I first started knitting. But I like, the color combo is, oh, there is a hole in this one too. Oh my God, I just realized. Gosh, even the moths, well, at least the moths like it, but I definitely don't. Yes, so all to say, my Stephen West shawls from over 10 years ago just don't get the love, but they are a happy memory for me, which is quite nice. Yeah, I recommend the patterns. Stephen West shawls are iconic, but I don't recommend the yarn. And I don't recommend leaving it 10 years to finish your knitting projects. It's a bit much. You should probably just frog them, and which means to tear them all out and use the yarn for something else. But yes, that is the Daybreak shawl. These two are going to go together and probably go in a Ziploc bag because they are clearly moth magnets. So I'll keep them apart for the sake of that. So let's move on to my next shawl. So my next shawl was also made in 2021. It definitely was like my wheels started turning. So I got really back into knitting like October 2020, and then like wanted to finish all my projects, and I started finding YouTube and watching videos and watching other people. And I owe this beautiful shawl to Michael from Piece for Piece Crafting, because he hosted a knit along, which is when a bunch of people online all knit the same pattern. And it was Kinship and Friends, I think is what the cal was back then. And everyone was knitting, I believe it was this pattern or a Stephen West or Olga Buraya-Kefelian pattern. This pattern was from Pom Pom magazine, and it was a collaboration between Stephen West, who's done the previous two patterns, and Olga Buraya-Kefelian. I'm trying to get her name correct. Try and get people's names as correct as you can. This one is beautiful. Again, it's similar shape to the previous one, being kind of like a half moon shape one. So you can see it kind of almost curls up like this rather than being like a straight triangular shape. It has this beautiful like anchor slip stitch motif on it. And I knit this is on 3.75mm needles, and I knit this out of Garthenor Preseli. So this is a non-superwash wool in the colors Dragonfly and Cadet. And I haven't said what the third color is. Sorry, I'll have it on the screen. I should have it somewhere written, but those are the three colors. And I love this yarn. I love all the Garthenor yarns. It's really soft and rustic at the same time. And this one, the process was quite fun, and I really like the finished piece, but I don't wear it. I don't really wear it. It doesn't match with what I wear day to day, so I do find it difficult to pull this one off, and it will kind of, yeah, it's just a very occasional wear from this, but I do really like it. You can make a even larger version. So this is like the smaller version, which has 3 repeats of this section, and I believe the large version has 1 or 2 more. So you can go pretty big with it, and it becomes more of a slanket, which is like a shawl blanket. But I do love it. It's beautiful. I love the colors, are very me. The yarn is wonderful. It was fun to knit. Yeah, it's great. It's just not, I think I find the half moon ones really hard to wear. They just kind of sit funny on my neck. And I suppose I could do this, and they look good here. So yeah, maybe this winter I'll try and get a bit more wear out of it, but it's cool, but it's like, I find it a bit difficult to wear. But I really, really like it. And this kind of got me back into, first of all, it got me kind of more involved with the online community where I did the cal, using Ravelry a bit more, interacting with people on YouTube, joining in on things on YouTube, joining in a cal. So it was, you know, a nice community feeling. So I have really happy memories of this, and I am very proud of it. I like the finished piece a lot, so I do love this one. So yeah, this is my Kinship shawl by Olga Buraya-Kefelian and Stephen West. Olga Jazzy Knits is her Instagram handle. So yes, this is the Kinship. I love it. Really happy with this one. This one was made in 2021. Next up is one of my favorites, probably the one I wear the most. This one is really special to me because it came at a time in my knitting journey, life moment where I wasn't feeling very inspired. I wasn't enjoying anything I was working on. I didn't like anything I was knitting on. I just wasn't feeling too good. And then I saw a really nice version of this shawl, and then I thought I would cast on my own. I went out and got completely new yarn for it and really just followed what colors that I thought were really beautiful and a pattern that was simple but engaging. And I find, and that's my advice to people, if anyone finds themselves kind of lacking mojo, or ooh, spoilers back here, lacking mojo or energy, or just not feeling it, like just put every other project aside and cast on something new that's really joyful for you, for what color, your favorite colors, or really techniques you really enjoy, or something that's really simple and something that's a quick win. So that's what this was for me. So this is the Moonwhistle shawl. This is by Andrea Mowry, who I believe her to be a wonderful shawl pattern maker. We have a couple, well, just one more by her coming up. But this one is knit out of Spincycle Dream State. So you can see there's color changing from blue to orange to gray. And then there's stripes of orange and gray. So the color changing from the blue you can see here, that is Spincycle Dream State. I think it was my first time using Spincycle, which is like a treat. It's an expensive yarn. And then I paired it with West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft, and the colors are Castaway for the Spincycle is actually one of my favorite because I love oranges and blues together. And then in the West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft, this is the Aran weight, and it is in the color Lerwick and Melby, which is 637 and 551. Hopefully it'll have already been on the screen. So I love this shawl. I loved knitting this shawl. It was so much fun to knit this, and Andrea Mowry reposted it on her story, so I felt very happy. It has a right side and a wrong side, so this is technically the wrong side, but it actually looks quite cool if I get up close. The wrong side looks pretty cool as well, but the right side is fantastic too. And I wear this a ton in the winter. If I'm at home in my house, chilling, knitting, doing something, this is draped over my shoulders. Who else likes to wear this? My partner. I will come home, he's working from home, I walk in, this is draped over his shoulders. It's probably his favorite shawl. I'll come home and he'll have random shawls. He'll be sitting like where all my knits they're in little crates, and wherever they're sitting, he'll just reach over and grab it and throw it over. So he loves this one. On a cold day in the winter in London, a grey cold day, it's nice to have something bright and shiny and fun. So this one I love. I can't recommend it enough. It really pulled me out of a funk. So I really, it has nice memories for me. A lot of these shawls have nice memories for me, but because it's a like Aran worsted weight shawl, it goes really, really quickly and it's really like satisfying. And the fun of the color changing yarn is that like as you're knitting, the color is changing, so it's really exciting to do that. The techniques in this are really easy as well. So the stripes are just garter stitch stripes, and then it is just a slip stitch pattern for the other sections. So again, really, really easy to knit up. Easy, fast, fun, great colors. And yeah, I get compliments on it when I wear it out. if I wear it out, so this one is like a right-handed triangle is the best way I would say it. So you've got one corner here, which is like straight on, and then you start down here, and then you increase just on one side. So you've got a straight side up like this, and then you just increase on one side, so it makes this kind of right-handed triangle. So when I'm wearing it, I take the longest end, the point is down, and flip one over my shoulder and flip the other one around, tuck it under, and then it kind of all comes forward like this. So if I'm wearing it out, I'm obviously wearing with a jacket or a coat around, and then it just keeps like my whole chest, back of my neck, super warm and cozy. So I absolutely love it, highly recommend it, very well written pattern. And if you're in a funk, treat yourself to like some beautiful colors, magical changing color ones if you can, if you want. And I promise it will pull you out of your funk and just make you happy and give you something that you can just like throw over your shoulders when you're feeling a bit down. And that's the magic of this craft, if you ask me. So that's my Moonwhistle shawl by Andrea Mowry. Absolutely love this one. Next one up is one that I don't wear a lot. And there's a couple of reasons for that. It doesn't mean it's beautiful. It doesn't mean the pattern isn't amazing. I will explain what my reasons for not wearing it that often are. So this was made in 2021. This is my Opus shawl. This is by Max the knitter, Maxim Cyr. Good friend, fantastic pattern maker, and just a genius when it comes to fantastic geometrical knitting. This one is a similar shape to the previous one. So you start at a bottom corner here and increase up one side. So it gives you this like right-handed triangle. This is knit out of Walcot Yarns Opus. This, I think, did they launch together? Probably launched around a similar time. And let me tell you, the pattern is amazing and the yarn is so good. The yarn is so soft. This is so soft. I love this yarn. I love the colors I chose. I thought they were really graphic and cool. So it is 4 colors. So, of course he hasn't written down the colors. They will be on the screen because I've talked about this in an episode before. So the colors will be on the screen. But this shawl, the yarn is amazing. And I've used Opus multiple times. I can't recommend it enough. It is a sport weight yarn. This is knit on, probably 3.75 millimeter needles, I want to say. Let me click this in my notes. Technology is great, you know, you can actually look up these things. I was right, 3.75 millimeter needles. It is mosaic knitting, so it's a slip stitch pattern. And I can get up a bit closer for you. You'll have seen it. It's almost like an optical illusion. It's very, very cool. And I really loved it. Let me flip it around. You can see the back. So here's the back. And this, okay, so I don't wear it that often. And the reason is I think it needs to be bigger. And how do I make it bigger? I need to reblock it, which basically means I need to wash it again. So I'm going to reblock this one and stretch it out a bit more to hopefully get a bit more width out of it. So you can see, let me see if I can find, like maybe here you can see, like if I pull these, they would open up a lot more. And it's quite dense because it's mosaic, like it's a type of color work where you slip stitches. So you can see all of these here, the kind of floats. And if you're too tight, it will kind of pull those together. And I probably was a bit too tight on these, in my opinion. I'm not sure how much. Well, I know I didn't block it very strong. I was quite ginger with it, just very gingerly blocked it. So if I do block it again, I will really get some nice, what do they call them? Pins, blocking pins, and just really stretch it out a bit. Will give it a bit more space. But I do really love it, and if I do wear it, this is when I started using these. Wait, now let me get a different color one so you can see better. There we go. This is a cuff. This is from Hide and Hammer. That's their logo there. And this is a cuff. It can be just worn as a bracelet, but they are also fantastic shawl cuffs. And I use these, you're going to see me use these a lot for the rest of this video. So I do the same thing where I put in my right hand, I toss the shorter end over and then I tuck it underneath. And then I use the shawl clip and I pass that underneath. And you'll see it in the other video, or in the cutaway. But yeah, so I do that and that stops it from unraveling, because if I wear it like this without the cuff, because it's not the size it should be according to the pattern, because I didn't block it out enough or I was too tight, the way it's sitting will undo, it falls out. But if I put this on, it doesn't move. So I highly recommend these. I love this shawl cuff. It's just like simple leather with some snaps, easy to use. And it is very warm. The mosaic knitting means you've got the actual knitted fabric and then you've got the strands going in the back as well. So there's like, it's almost like double knitting. Opus itself is got alpaca in it. It's got loads of good stuff in it, but the alpaca makes it very warm, very soft, and it's a pleasure to wear, and it is quite warm, but I don't wear it that often. It's been fun. It was fun to knit, but I feel like sometimes it's a bit too graphic and I find it kind of hard to style. Is the thing. Happens with a lot of my shawls. I find them quite hard to style because they're such like stunning geometric patterns, which I really gravitate to, but then I find them quite difficult to match with my wardrobe or match with my day-to-day wear. But that doesn't mean they weren't great fun to knit, and they're not great fun to wear around the house or otherwise. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that's how I feel about shawls. I do like knitting them, which you'll see, but I do struggle sometimes with the actual wearing of them, which is why they tend to just be like nice at-home garments. But yeah, this is the Opus. This is by Max. Walcot yarns in Opus is the name of the yarn, and yeah, stunning. It feels so good. It's so soft and not as like the actual pattern is a lot easier to knit than it looks. It looks really complicated and tough, but this could be your second shawl that you ever knit once you've kind of done one more simple one, I would say. So this is the Opus. So cool, such an attention grabber. Pick yourself some cool colors and you'll just have like a great time with it. So yes, that is my Opus shawl by Max. Okay, so we keep the geometric train running when it comes to shawls, and we're back with Stephen West. It's another Stephen West pattern. This was on my like queue to make for a very, very long time, and I actually had the yarn bought for quite a long time too, but I finally got around to making it. And after the Opus, most of the large shawls that I made were kind of like long-term projects. They weren't my like full focus. I would kind of do a bit and then leave them, do a bit and then leave them. So this one I actually cast on, I can see, in January 2022, and I finished it October 2022. So this one actually took me a long time to make. Doesn't necessarily mean I was knitting on it focused completely on that the whole time. It just meant that I would pick up and put it down. And I remember towards the end when, as I said, those rows got really long, I had to really buckle down and focus to get it finished. But I did. I'm really happy with the final object, and I think it's really, really cool. So here it is. This is the Woven Chevrons shawl. This is by Stephen West. It is a super cool pattern. The technique to making it is amazing. You literally start here, I think. Wait, now, hold on. No, you start here at this end and you make literally just this section, and then you cast on here and you keep knitting more. You cast on and then you just keep adding rows and rows of this chevron until you've complete. I did the large version, I believe, but you can keep going as long as you want. And it's amazing. It's so cool. It's so eye-catching. You'd think it's kind of hard to wear because it's got this thing here and it's kind of, it's still triangular shape, but it's got these. So I just tend to kind of fold them down, and then I just wear them the same way that I wear any other ones. This is knit on, let's click and see. Referring to my notes again. 3.5mm needles. And I knit this out of Studio Donegal's Darnie, and the colors are navy, oatmeal, bonine, and then 8808. It doesn't have an actual name. Yeah, they haven't given a name to that. They're all numbers. Navy, oatmeal, and bonine. That's quite cute. Here, have a little Irish lesson. Bon is the Irish for white, and then anything with an in at the end, it means little. So it's like bonine, little white. Blocheen means little flower. Railteen means little star. There you go. There's a little quick Irish lesson for you. Yes, so it's made out of Studio Donegal. I believe this is a woolen spun yarn. So it's like really light but super warm. And it's kind of like fleckled a bit, like little heathered. And it was really nice to knit with. I really loved knitting with it. It's really comfortable to wear. It's super warm. And I just love, it's really striking. It's got that super geometric pattern. So, it is a bit of a like showstopper when I do wear it. And again, I do wear it like over a jacket when it's really cold outside. The shawls definitely come out because they will keep me warm. And then similar to all the others, when I'm at home, I just flip it and I wear it, and it's my like over the shoulder warming shawl. So I really, really like it for that. And yes, as I mentioned, cast on in January, finished in October. It took me 10 months to finish, on and off. But again, this final row, so would have been here. Like, I don't know how many stitches it ended up being, but it's way out of the camera's viewfinder. It is a I-cord bind off, which takes a bit of time, bit of focus. But I think when you go into it, you just need to be like, this isn't something you can do in one sitting, usually, unless you're very fast and very focused. But for most of us, a giant I-cord bind off with over 300, 400, 500 plus stitches just go into it knowing that it's going to take you quite a long time to finish, and make peace with that, and you'll be happy. Again, this looks complicated like the other one, but it's not a super difficult stitch to complete. It is a bit of slipping and then just knitting and purling. I mean, all knitting is just 2 stitches, but looks more complicated than it is, and it's just super show-stopping. So pick some really nice colors that really inspire you, and then just enjoy the fun. Like, the process of making this was so much fun, even though it took me so long, and I did have to push just to get it done at the end, but I'm just like really, really happy, and I just love having it in my collection, and keeps me warm in the winter. So I'm happy and glad that I have this to have ready when it does turn a bit cold here, even though we're in summer here in London now and it's pretty warm today. So yes, that was my woven chevrons. Next up is another shawl by Max. This one, I wanted something really simple and easy to make. So this one I'm gonna do it's long. This is the Field Shawl by Max the Knitter. Super long. I definitely chose field colors, didn't I? Because they're a green and a brown. This is knit up in Retrosaria Rosa Pomar Brusca, which is definitely a woolen spun yarn. It is a DK weight, I'm gonna say, and it is mega rustic, full of vegetation and hay. I can literally pluck a bit of hay out of it now. It is super rustic. This will definitely keep you warm in the winter. When I finished it, it was like kind of a weird time of year. I think I might have finished it in the springtime, which meant I didn't get much wear out of it. So hopefully this winter I get some time to wear it, or I focus on getting it worn. Again, it's super long, so it almost feels like just a regular scarf. So you probably could wear it all sorts of ways. That's probably cool. Oh, that's a cool way to wear it. Yes, so it is super long. Again, it is a geometric pattern. This one's mega simple to do. You literally cast on at one end, you knit the whole way, increasing, striping, and then you decrease down to the other side. So really simple construction. Fun to make. This could be your first shawl easily, and because you start with very few stitches and finish with the exact same very few stitches, there's no giant long bind off to make. So it's knit from side to side instead of from point up or from corner to corner, or from like one corner increasing up. So from that regard, it's quite good. It's all garter stitch, so there is no purling. Yes, no purling. It's got an I-cord edge, which is pretty standard among most shawls. So the shawl has an I-cord. Every single shawl I've probably shown you today, apart from the early ones, have had I-cords on the edges. So yeah, this one was like, I think I was doing quite complicated color work or quite complicated projects, and I wanted something that I could just breeze through, that was simple and I didn't have to think too much, and this was the perfect one to do. And that must be the trend for me. I kind of turn to a shawl once I want to kind of really escape from my other knitting projects. So the Field Shawl is one of those for me. It's humongous, absolutely humongous. I can't, hopefully the cutting away video shows you how humongous it is. But yes, really enjoyed this one. Great palette cleanser, and just like a nice warm shawl with like a bit of interest for you making it. So if someone wants like a really plain simple scarf or shawl as a gift, I would recommend this one, because it's just a nice easy one to make and to like pick colors for. So yeah, really like this one. Giant shawl. They're all pretty giant, but this one is like well past my wingspan. So yeah, really like this one. Effective, simple. You could do it in just one color if you wanted. You could do it in like a nice fluffy yarn, which I think they have kits for on Max and Vincent's shop. But yes, the Field Shawl, great, simple, highly recommend. This and the Boneyard, these could be your first shawls patterns if you so wanted them to be. So that's the Field Shawl. We are back with Andrea Mowry. So this is my second shawl by Andrea Mowry. And this shawl is like the spiritual sister, or yeah, I would say it's definitely the sister pattern to the Moonwhistle shawl that I showed you. This is the Satellite Shawl by Andrea Mowry, and it is So the other one was a worsted weight or iron weight shawl, and this is a fingering weight shawl. I made this out of Big Little Yarn Co. Their Peruvian wool fingering base, and the colors are, Hereditary is the cool colorway here. Those will be on the screen. So when I flip it to the wrong side, you can see a bit more of the other colorway that's behind. Super cool. And it is a similar construction in that you're starting at one corner and increasing along one side. But what made this really interesting, and probably the best place to see it is here, is that it uses short rows. So you've got these kind of like arching pieces here that go back and forth as you knit. So there's garter, then there's a short row section, which is here in my darker gray. Then you've got a little bit of brioche. So this is brioche here, just like simple straight brioche. And then back again, garter, short rows, brioche. And you just keep doing that the whole way along until you reach the end and bind off with an I-cord. So it's got an I-cord along every edge. And this one, the yarn is stunning. The colors I love. And again, it's just another beautiful one, and I'm really, really happy with it. This took me, again, a long time to finish. It was kind of like my shawl of last year, so I only really made 2 last year, maybe about 2 a year. That was probably where I'm going, like for a number of shawls made in a year. But this was kind of the main capital S shawl that I made last year, and I'm really, really happy with it. I really love it. I love the yarn. The pattern was really, really fun to make, fun to follow. I love a bit of brioche. I really, really do. And this one is really simple. So if it's your first time doing brioche, you could definitely try this one, because, you know, you're only up to here. So you could practice a little bit with simple brioche, and then you've got some garter, and then you practice again a bit more and a bit more. So if it's your first time doing brioche, maybe do a brioche hat, and then this would be a great second project to try brioche. So I really, really like it. I like the colors I chose. They're kind of like all in the same color family, with a bit of interest from the variegated one that you can see better when I show you the inside. But on the brioche, it just like peeks through. So it's quite nice, bit of interest. Like, you know, you think it's simple, but it's actually more interesting than what you first think. So yes, this is my satellite shawl by Andrea Mowry, and it's knit up in Big Little Yarn Co. Peruvian fingering yarn. And I love this one. Soft brioche. First brioche on a shawl. So I do recommend it. Really, really nice one. Next one is a bit interesting, because technically it is the field shawl by Max again. But what I did is I took his original pattern, I used fingering yarn with a 3.5mm needle, I believe, and held it with some mohair, and I just followed the exact same pattern. So the same pattern, but just almost shrunk down. So this is technically the field shawl, but it's a really, really small version of the field shawl. Cast on here, yeah, exactly the same one that as you've just seen. It's just all garter, so all knitting. And I wanted a little small shawlette. So it's the same rate of increase as the increase and decrease as the field shawl. And what I really want was to be able to do this, to put it around my neck and then take one of my little shawl cuffs and snap it together. This yarn is from All You Need Is Love in Barcelona. This is their own yarn, and then the mohair is Knitting for Olive mohair. And I love how this looks. You put the point on the back of your neck, and then it's just a little shawlette garter. And I really, really liked this. It's really soft, fun to wear. Really enjoyed it. Quick knit, essentially. Used 100 gram skein of fingering, and I think 2-ish, less than 2 50 gram skeins of the mohair. And it's soft, it's nice, really easy to wear, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier. The big geometric crazy shawls I found really difficult to wear kind of day to day, out and about. Whereas this one, I found it really easy to wear. Really, really liked it. So this is the field shawl again by Max, shrunken down to the kind of smaller or a thinner weight of yarn with smaller needles. So I just took that same pattern, shrunk it down. And I love this one. Really, really like it. And then it kind of led me to think more. So this is all garter stitch. So you can see it's all garter stitch. And it led me more to think about how much I liked that shawl, how I liked how simple it was, how easy it was to wear, and how I really liked wearing it with the shawl cuffs. So that led me to design my own shawl pattern. So this video is going up the same day as the release of this pattern, and those of you who watch my videos regularly, who follow the channel, you will know this. This is the utility shawl. So this is my pattern. This is utility shawl. It could look similar to that, but it's quite different. It's similar in that you cast on at one end and finish at the other, but this is all stockinette. So instead of garter, it's all stockinette, and the entire thing is knit in the round. So it's almost like it's double-sided. It's knit with fingering and mohair. And the intention was, if I don't flip it around, was to have it be one of these little shawlettes as well, like this. And I made this one just to kind of see like, oh, could I do that? Like, is it a possibility that it would work? And it definitely did work, and I was so happy with it. And then I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's make this a pattern. You start, and you know, it's still cute, just kind of draped over the shoulders. And so I knit this one out of some yarn I picked up in the yarnery in Minnesota, and it's not available anymore. So I pivoted to a different type of yarn, and I made a larger size. So this pattern comes in 2 sizes. This is the large size of the utility shawl. They have different rates of increase, so it's not the same. The 2 sizes have separate pattern sections in the pattern because I wanted it to still have the same ratio almost, I would say. So this is the larger version. This is knit in Telling Yarns, is the fingering weight yarn. This is in the color Joe, held together with Ito Sensai mohair in the color Glacier. So this is the larger version, and this is the yarn I do call for in the pattern. And let's do this guy. This is the larger version, so it does gather up really well with a nice shawl cuff, which I love. Super, super nice, so warm. Oh my God, it's so warm and fluffy and comfortable and easy to wear, easy to throw on. You've got the point at the back of your neck. Soft, easy to knit. It's a really easy to knit. The most difficult part is the cast on, which is the Turkish cast on, which you use for socks and things. So that's the most difficult part right at the start. But otherwise, it's just increasing, decreasing, and knitting. And you end up with this beautiful triangular, simple shape. So it's all stockinette the whole way down on both sides. I'm really, really happy with it, really proud of it. It's taken a bit of work and a bit of maths. And my intention with it as well was, there's this large size, so this uses 2 100-gram skeins of fingering weight. And then the smaller size uses 1 100-gram skein of fingering weight with mohair as well. And the intention was that if you have that really special skein of yarn that you really love, that's really beautiful, like a hand-dyed skein or something you like picked up when traveling, I wanted something simple that would show off that skein and would be a special item. It's kind of hard sometimes to use those special skeins, so that's what I wanted this to be. I held it with mohair because I wanted it to be warm, and I love holding fingering weights with mohair, and not everyone does. So I also knit another sample of just the fingering weight, knit up. This is Telling Yarns, this is in the color Gwen Stacy. This is both the Resolute base, by the way. So these are both Telling Yarns Resolute, which is their fingering weight base. And this is the fingering weight without the mohair. So it is definitely like lighter fabric, but it works just as well, in my opinion. And the size works out just as well. And for this one, I weighed my yarn, split it 45%, 55%. I knit the first 45% increasing, and then the second 55% decreasing, and I had a little bit left over, and it worked fine. So the idea with this pattern is that you can split your yarn in 2, use up one just under half, and then for the increase, and then decrease, and that way you use up as much yarn as possible. I wanted everyone to be able to use the maximum amount of yarn as possible, because there's nothing worse than having like loads of leftovers and scraps. So I wanted you to be able to use as much, and this version is like the proof of concept of that you can actually just use a fingering and it still creates a beautiful shawlette. So this is the little one, is like, I would say it's a shawlette, and then the large one is more of like a proper large size shawl. And I'm so proud of it. If you like this pattern, you want to knit it, there will be a link down below to Ravelry where you'll be able to pick up this pattern. It releases today. And if you know someone who would like to knit it, please send it to them. Even if you don't plan on knitting it, please click the link and go and, you know, your views help boost the pattern. Add it to your favorites, add it to your queue. All those things help push the pattern up, so I would really, really appreciate that. But yeah, it's a very, very exciting moment, and I'm very excited to release this pattern. It's been a little while coming, but I'm really, really happy with it, and I hope you will enjoy it too if you do choose to get it and knit it up. And that's it. That is the walk down memory lane. It's over about a dozen or so shawls. It really shows my change in my taste, in my skill level, in my journey. I've gone from being very tight and not being able to make a very good shawl to now designing my own shawls. So it's been a very fun journey, and it was a fun time to look back on it with this. So thank you for joining me for this little look down memory lane. If it's your first time here, please subscribe and join us in the Jonathan's Days community. I've got newsletter down below, Ravelry down below. I've got a knitting retreat. If you want to come knit with me, there might be some places left still. I've got one coming in November and one in March. So there's lots of ways to hang out with me, or just, you know, watch my videos, join for that. I want to know what your favorite shawl pattern is down below. I want to know if you're going to knit this one. My one would be nice. And yeah, subscribe, like, and comment, do all those good things. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to this community for encouraging me to knit shawls for the last, well, 4 or 5 years when I've been on YouTube. Thank you for that. And I hope you are well. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you're knitting your own shawl. And I wish you all the best, and I will see you in the next video. And yeah, let me know if you're gonna get my lovely utility shawl pattern. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.